This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.
Peter Drucker is quoted to have said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I believe it. The problem we have with entrepreneurs is we don't plan. We guess, we wish, and we stay continuously reactive. But founders who would make the difference, like we are at the Startup Bodyshop, we are deliberate, intentional in creating. We don't drift, we plan, and we intentionally execute on those plans. So in today's show, I'll show you our 6-step planning system that takes us from vision to action and exactly how you would use it. But before the system, here's the truth. Plan isn't about writing goals, but planning is equals to the systems and structure that you have to bring that to pass, so that hope does not become a strategy for you. What does real planning involve? Real planning involves 3 steps. Number 1, a review of the past. Number 2, defining what success would look like going forward. And number 3, there's a reverse engineering that is required. If you say this is the future, whether the future is 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, I reverse engineer to today. What do I need to do to create that future that I want to go? So what is it we want to do to create the future that I want to experience? Those are the 3 steps in a typical planning process. Step 1, we already said, is to look back. What are our wins? What are our failures? What lessons have we learned? And documenting them in a way where it can help with decisions going forward. The next step would be, what would the new year looks like? 2026 is what we're looking forward. We have to be specific. So number 1, we said, is looking back. The next one is defining the future, defining what success looks like. What would 2026 look like? We have to be specific, not vibes, no, very specific. I'll give you a deep dive just now on what that would look like in practice. And when you're talking about what success could look like in terms of success dimensions, you'll be looking at revenue targets, what products we are rolling out, what is our team going to look like, what systems do we need to design to deliver on that success dimension, and obviously what client outcomes would guarantee that we are able to hit this in terms of achieving those goals. Having said that, let me now walk you through our 6-step planning system. I should hasten to say that the 6-step system can be used whether you're a one-man business or 50% business or 100% business. A similar model can be applied in your business as a founder. And I can just walk you through what we did this year and now relate that, because it's really about looking forward. What did we do? So I will take you through what we're implementing as a business, and currently as I speak to you, as that process is ongoing. I started with a vision meeting. I have my operations director at the Startup Bodyshop, Sylvester. And so I called Sylvester together. Once we decided we wanted to trigger this process, we had to look at the headlines. We had a vision meeting. And in the vision meeting that we had with Sylvester, I had to share with him where we were going. We talked about where we want to go in 2026, our 2026 headlines. We want to establish ourselves as a business accelerator, one of the biggest and strongest, most successful business accelerators in this country. A new product we want to roll out this year is a venture studio. That is an advanced stage of a business accelerator where equity and a couple of other complications come in. And for you to do that, in addition to doing that, there were talks we had about, okay, what should our revenue be like? And for revenue growth, we had to go back to the previous year and say, okay, what is the revenue we've made? The year hasn't ended, no, but we already know. We can actually project. Having made stuff up to the 11th month, you'll have a sense of what the expectations are for the final month of the year. So we say, this is our actual revenue target. What should revenue for the next year look like? And, then we talked about the team. Because some of those things, some of those growth that we're anticipating should happen, there are team implications. And there's some changes that need to take place in our team, either in bringing in new talents that are required to fill in those gaps, and also finally the systems. We talked about just headlines in terms of the systems. So once we finish that vision meeting, The next stage in this process was Sylvester went on to prepare the global plan from our vision meeting. Global plan, and what is global plan involved? Involved working from vision to numbers. Now that I had shared what the revenue targets would be like in terms of high levels, his responsibility was to now break this down into clear outcomes that we want to hit for the year. So, for example, what would be the products we're going to be working on? You must have heard me talk about this product. You're going to hear me talk about this product again and again and again, because this is a practical process. We are telling you what we're doing. We're sharing what we're doing. We are documenting, not just creating content that we're putting out, because we want you to be part of the journey, and so you could follow through on stuff that you could also apply. 3 major products we're taking to the market this year. The first product is a product that we've always had. That is our clients and partners driven projects. What does that mean? Over the years, we've had very solid and strong partners working with us, from UNDP, IOM. Those products are determined and driven by the partners. They already have an indication of what they want, and those products could be connected to some components of what we have existing, and we tailor and create what is needed for the delivery of whatever they're asking us of. So that's the first category of products. We said, okay, that's a big product. How much did we make this year? What are we going to do next year in terms of increasing that? And we enshrined that in our budget and our planning system. The next category of program is our own flagship programs. And if you look at those flagship programs, they are divided into 3 categories, maybe 3 in 1. But the bulk of that second one is what in our flagship program is our scaling program, business scaling. We are targeting post-revenue startups. In our client-related programs, we can deal with early stage, very early stage ideation. But when it comes to our flagship program, we don't target early stage. We're targeting businesses that are already post-revenue. They already started making money. Those are the ones we are targeting. Don't forget, there's a principle I told you earlier, which we'll continue to emphasize about. We only sell to people who can afford our products. We only sell to people who can afford our products. The value, given the value we're providing there. So, business acceleration, this is big in terms of our flagship program, in terms of what we're going to do. So it's a scaling. The scaling program is divided into three parts. Number 1 would be our 2-day scaling workshop for startups. We take you through what we will do as a business across 7 business functions, and then help you to diagnose your biggest constraint as a business. And once we do that, we will now come up with a 90-day plan to help you deconstrain the business. How do you tackle that thing that you've established is your biggest constraint? That is the 2-day scaling workshop. That is our 2-day scaling workshop. From the workshop, we upsell. Some of the clients there would be big enough for us to upsell into our 6-month acceleration program. We work with you for 6 months to roll out this plan that is required to deconstrain your business over 2 quarters. Because it's 90-day, you may have a second 90-day plan to be able to do that. So in essence, that's the big stuff. Then if we work with you, imagine if we have 50 attending the workshops. From the 50, we upsell 5 for which we work with for a period of 6 months. What's going to happen is that from those ones that you work for a period of 6 months, they are sometimes gems. You have big businesses that you know can scale. We identify a few of them that we can now say, we move to the next level, which called the venture, is the venture stage. And at the venture stage, what we do with them is to now consider taking in equity. Much more involved as owners, as co-owners of the business. That's the next level. So that's the crunch of our... So that's the crux of our flagship program, which is our business scaling and acceleration program. I should say to you also that we've extracted 2 products from that big scaling program. 2 products. One is our finance package. We call it Colat Books. We end-to-end, we deploy financial management systems for you, software managed, and you have a dedicated accountant works with you remotely to be able to keep that as our Colat Books. Then we have our Sales Master program where we train corporates and sales teams, third-party sales team, how to execute at the highest level, similar to what we're doing here at the Startup Bodyshop. So that's the catalog of the products, part of our plan, creating that future. Those are the products we've lined up that we're going to be working on creating in the new year, 2026. Remember, I told you what we are working through is what the operations team, already led by the operations director, is actually working on. So it's not just a desire, but there's an execution part that we have to have. Not just the money top line in terms of dollars that we're going to generate, but we also detail how we're going to achieve that. That's the path. So remember, first of all, it's the visionary meeting. Then we have the global plan, which is already prepared. The next stage is the departmental plans. What does that mean? Now, it will be easy to just say the headlines and those are the figures. This is the revenue we have to generate. These are the products we have to take to the market. The next stage, who would take these products to the market? We have currently our operations is divided into 5 functions and 5 departments, 5 units. There are operations, there's sales and marketing, there's HR, and there's finance. These teams are the teams who are going to work out to implement these goals that we have for the new year. Now, if you take each of them, you take of what is it that operations must do. The operations department has to work on workshops that should be delivered, the number of participants that would go to those workshops, and every tool we need to make sure we can execute on those workshops. And HR has to deal with hiring, because part of the plan is that as you grow, you have to bring in on board the staff that you need to do that. HR has to do that. And then some of the products that are there, finance is involved to deploy those products directly. So that's the operations. Operations gives us the infrastructure that is required for that. The next will be sales and marketing. Sales and marketing are lumped in together. What would they be doing? If we are having workshops spread across the year, I told you we plan to have 6 workshops bi-monthly, each one targeting 25 participants for each workshop. That's what we're going to be driving. What will the sales team be doing? The sales team will be driving sales leads. They'll be driving the conversion. They'll be driving a content engine. How do we drive leads into the business? And again, these are things I'm going to be dealing with in details, because again, what we're going to do, we will give away the secrets of how we run our business. And maybe if you are big enough to work with us, we can work with you to implement, and you can pay us to work with you to implement what we do. But we share all the secrets in terms of the practicalities of how this works. Today, we're just walking you through the step by step. Again, let's go back, so that we remind ourselves what we're doing. So the first stage is the vision meeting. The first stage is the vision meeting. Number 2 is the global plan. Number 3 is the departmental plan. Is the departmental plan, and that's what we're working now. We take them department by department. So there's sales, we've talked about the operations. And then you have sales and marketing department and what they're supposed to be doing. And then, and down the line, we walk through all the departments to make sure we can complete what they're supposed to be doing. Now, once you get to the departmental plans, I should also say to you that the plan, the way it's worked out, it's both an annual plan. I should add that it's both annual. It's annual. Then we have quarterly targets, so we break them into quarters for the year, 4 quarters of the year, and then we have monthly, what we are going to be tracking, and then finally weekly, and it's so crazy that beyond weekly, we're doing daily tracking. How is this possible? How is this possible? Well, that's the journey we're going to walk you on. Like I said, we will share the details with you as we go on. We'll give away the secret, and then we sell the implementation with you, those who could afford to pay for our services. Let's go back now to weekly. What is it that happening on a weekly basis? Weekly execution. The big stuff we have on a weekly basis is that the senior leadership team meets every week. Because we have divided our plans from annual to quarterly to monthly to weekly. Now, once you have the monthly, you now know this is what we have to achieve this month. That's the shortest stuff you could track. We have 4 weekly meetings, 90 minutes, 2 hours meeting every week for the heads of every one of those units. You already have targets of what you're supposed to execute on. Once you have the targets, there are activities that you're supposed to be delivering on. Before we hit the numbers, there are activities. So we begin to track activities on a weekly basis. We have an SLT meeting where we walk through, this is what you promised to do, this is what you did. And sometimes what happens is that where plans fail is that people just think that you just write the plan and just leave it like that. It doesn't happen. Plans don't bring themselves to pass. It's a rigor. It takes rigor to bring plans to pass. So once a week we meet, so four meetings a month. SLT, we track what's going on. Again, like I said, it's annual, it's quarterly, it's monthly, and then it's weekly tracking. That's the way we run this. So I'll give you an example. For example, I started sharing just now, assuming we said we have to execute 6 workshops, scaling workshops. Imagine we have to execute 6 scaling workshops per month. And each one we're expecting to sell about 25 seats, 25 businesses for each of the sessions. And 6 workshops, 25 participants each. What does that give you? It gives you a total of 150 businesses that you can sell this to. Now, this creates a whole set of rules for, if you're telling about the marketing team and the sales team, to get 150 businesses, you might have to sell this to 1,000 clients. And even more, to make sure you could actually close at the end of the day and have 150 businesses, 150 founders for the year that can participate and attend this training. Let's talk about our senior leadership team meeting that takes place on a weekly basis. What is it that normally goes on a weekly basis on an SLT? There's a whole tracker that we have of a senior leadership team meeting that has what got done, what did we promise to do, what got done, what didn't get done, who owns responsibility for executing that, what do we do next, and then new accountabilities are set for that. So you could see that there's a 4-stage process. There's planning, implementation, reporting, and accountability. We call it PIRA, P-I-R-A, planning, implementation. You plan, you implement. Then there's reporting and accountability that we follow through on. Now, the hard truth is where there's no accountability, what we have is just dreams and we don't have plans. So there have to be intense accountability for you to follow through and make this happen. So you could see where we are, what it takes to create, 2026. You have to be able to do something similar to this for your business, as a startup, as a founder. I'll talk about a final point here, which we may not go into details today, but it would be something that's covered in a whole session all by itself. And that is the issue of culture and values. Now, it's easy to plan. Ultimately, at the end of the day, how do you ensure that your team is prepared, the psyche, the mindset, and every bit about the team is designed to execute this? Imagine it's a Premier League club. At the beginning of the year, the Premier League team, they give the targets to the managers, or maybe the entire management team. You should be in the top 10 of the Premier League for this year. And the targets that are laid down, ultimately, one of the things we ignore is a soft but powerful aspect of management and the organizational management, which is this issue about culture. And strategy doesn't win. So take this. Strategy doesn't win, but culture does. There's also this quote that says that organizations and companies do not compete. Cultures do. Underneath every country that is advancing in this world is a strong culture. I've been to Rwanda. A lot of us go to places across the world, and we come back home and know the culture in these countries are so different. They are so unique. That's what it's a core secret, core ingredient to having a plan. Part of what it takes to have a plan, but really make it happen, you have to have a strong culture. You have, with the best of plans that you have, if you have a weak culture in the organization, it kills those strategies. They never come to life. Like I said, a lot of us go to places like Rwanda and come back and are whistling where you wouldn't see any litter on the ground. I went to Rwanda. I wanted to go buy something that in Sierra Leone I would buy any day in terms of drugs in a pharmacy. And what was that? It was Mogadon. It was something to help, Tylenol PM or something like that. That I went there. It happened that in Rwanda, this was amongst prescription medicine that you cannot buy over the counter. And so I went there. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, so I just walked across. I said, I think I drank some tea or coffee or something. Couldn't go to bed. And I had some stuff to do. That was very important in the morning, 6, 7 a.m. And this is where I was, 2 a.m. and I couldn't go to sleep. So I went to the pharmacy just across the hotel. And they said, no, I can't. 2 a.m. It's a strong culture that you have. We could deal with that. And so what normally happens with companies that thrive, and I would be frank with you, we are at the beginning of the base of designing what our culture would be like as an organization. And incidentally, you should know that the culture of an organization is the extended culture of the leader, of the founder. So your ability to first of all define, it's again, you would look at me quintessentially, you would see all the stuff that I've done, and it's my values, it's my culture, and we will talk about those cultures, those deep things that I, including not shutting down for holidays. There are tens of cultures. Unless the group thinks like me, unless the business thinks like the founder, in those things that we know, because look at it. It's those virtues, those values that allow us to build the brand. Me to build the brand, to build the staff, to build the team. For that, those culture, for those behaviors, those attitudes to move beyond myself as a founder and now become something that is espoused by the entire team. That's a process it has to go through, where it's documented, it's the rigor. And again, over the next 1 year, we would be working with you. We would be sharing, I'll be sharing with you what we're doing to make sure we embed, first of all, identify what are our values and cultures that's going to run this business, and how we're going to implement them to make that happen. And those would affect how we hire people. It's going to affect how we fire people. It's going to affect how we make decisions. And it's going to affect the service, how we provide our service for clients. So this is just a teaser, because the acronym for our value system that we're now rolling out as a business is spelled VALUE. That's the acronym for that. But we'll have another episode where we'll go deep dive, break down this so that you begin to see what we are rolling out. And like I said, this is live. This is what we are trying to roll out. Maybe we've talked about it, but the staff haven't even actually seen this. As I'm talking to you now, the staff haven't even seen it. We're going to be presenting this to the staff next week. And that next week is the week for Christmas. And it's funny, Christmas week, the week for Christmas, that's what you're talking about. Mission, vision, values, and stuff. Yes. Because we're doing what we say. And super practical, intense. We shut down, yeah. There's the specific days that we're going to shut down for holiday for, but we keep working, we keep driving, because if we eat what you make, there are some luxuries you cannot afford. And so stop waiting, create the future. What's your revenue target for 2026? What products are going to drive this? Break down the plan for this. And how are you going to make sure people are held accountable for delivering on this? What value systems is this going to ride on? Those are all the questions that you have to consider for you to be able to make sure you can create what you expect in 2026. Now, so you need help with implementing this. There are 2 ways we can help you. 2 ways. I've talked about it already in the top of the show. There's a 2-day scaling workshop. and our 6-month acceleration program. And so what does that 2-day scaling workshop looks like? It's a DIY, do it yourself. And to sign up for this, you can go to startupbodyshop.com/workshop. You should know that we have limited spaces. We can only take 25 startups per session. In the workshop, we'll walk you through our scaling blueprint. This is where we help you identify and design a 90-day breakthrough plan to tackle your business's biggest constraints across 7 business functions, from your product offer design, sales, marketing, customer service, HR, data management, infrastructure, and finance. Across all of this, where do you have your biggest constraints? And we help you design a 90-day breakthrough plan to execute this and deconstrain your business and grow like you wouldn't even believe. Or better still, you can sign up for our 6-month Done With You acceleration program. 6 months Done With You acceleration program. What you could do is to check if you are a fit for this. Go to startupbodyshop.com. And the beauty with this is that once you sign up for our acceleration program, the same team that has worked with me in scaling all the businesses you hear me talk about all the time are the same team members that would work with you to deploy the tools in your own business. We work with you to deploy the stuff so that you can create the future that you want to see for your business. Because don't forget, at the top of the show, we said, Peter Drucker said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And we have to be intentional as we do that in 2026. If this video gave you any clarity, share it with one entrepreneur, share it with one founder who's ready to make 2026 one of the greatest years till date that they've had to celebrate. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel, share this video, because every week I share systems and frameworks that actually work. Not theory, but just strong experiences that we've had over 2 decades of building and scaling businesses in Sierra Leone. This has been the JAB Show, and I've been your host, Joe Abass. It's your life by design. Until our next edition of the show, share, subscribe, and let's build for 2026.
This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.